I recently flew all the way across country from the East Coast all the way over to Los Angeles for my last cruise on the Celebrity Solstice, and I did so in business class. It was my first time ever in business class. I had one of the lie flat seats. It was a very cool experience, and I did it for less than $600. And I'm going to tell you how you can do the same. Hello everyone, my name is Zach. I am the Traveling Man, and we're going to talk about booking your airfare through the cruise line in this video. And you're going to want to know this because you're going to save quite a bit of money when you do. So let's talk about it. Well, if you've shopped airfare at all the last few months, you might have noticed that it's quite ridiculous right now. Airfare is literally sky high right now. And I don't care if you're going on a regional route or if you're flying across country or across the world, you're going to pay for it. But if you're trying to book airfare for your upcoming cruise, there's actually a way you can save a significant amount of money. And it's something that I've done on a lot of my cruises, but recently I did it. I was flying from the East Coast of the US all the way out to Los Angeles to board the Celebrity Solstice. And I booked my cruise through Celebrity for something like $340. And that's round trip. That was from the East Coast to LA and then back at the end of the cruise, $340. That was pretty cheap. And then on top of that, the airline offered me like a $200 upgrade to business class. So I was able to fly business class for less than $600 by booking my airfare through the cruise line. And it wasn't just my Celebrity Solstice cruise. I have booked my airfare through the cruise line many times, particularly with celebrity cruises, but also I've done this with Carnival Cruise Line as well. And I think most cruise lines offer some sort of airfare. They actually, a lot of them have it on their websites now. It's published. You can actually go price the cost of the airfare through the cruise line before you even book your cruise. So you can price it all together as a complete package if you want to on a lot of the cruise lines. So if you already have a cruise booked, no matter what the cruise line is, go on their website or call your travel advisor, your travel agent, whoever you book the cruise with, and see if you might be able to book airfare with the cruise line. And in this video, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I recommend you book your airfare directly through the cruise line. The first of these is convenience. It is so convenient, everything on the same website. Like I said, in some instances, you can book your airfare while you're booking your cruise, or you can add airfare later in the cruise manager. It's very simple to do. The airfare reservation is actually handled by the cruise line. So if you need to make changes or anything like that to the cruise reservation or the air reservation, it's all in one place. It's also convenient because the cruise lines can also arrange transportation for you from the airport to the cruise ship and then from the cruise ship back to the airport when the cruise is over. And all this can be added together. And it's usually all one price. The cruise lines are going to tack on the cost of your airfare directly to the amount that you owe on your cruise. So when you go to make final payment, you're going to pay your cruise off and also your airfare to the cruise. So there is a measure of convenience of having all those reservations in one place. You also have transportation options. You know when you get on board the plane, when you land. I've done this several times over in Europe. I land in Europe and then I know that Celebrity Cruises or Carnival Cruise Line or whoever is going to be picking me up at the airport and taking me to the cruise ship. And there is a lot of comfort in that, especially when you're flying to other countries. There's just a level of assurance in knowing that the cruise line is going to handle everything for you and take care of any issues that come up. Also, if your flight were to get canceled or something like that, which we'll talk more about in a minute, but the cruise line is going to be able to take care of rebooking you on another flight and making sure that you get to the ship. So a lot of convenience in booking your airfare directly with the cruise line. Now, the second reason I recommend booking your airfare directly through the cruise line is the low price and price protection that comes with this. Now, as I already mentioned, I flew across country for less than $600 in business class for my last cruise. I booked that through Celebrity Cruises. I've also flown to Florida for like $80 round trip on Carnival Cruise Line and booking it through them. So there were some really good deals. And essentially how this works is the cruise lines are buying what's known as bulk tickets. So they're buying a lot of tickets from the airlines. And so the airlines are giving them a discount on those tickets. Now do keep in mind that if you are someone who likes to keep loyalty status with the airlines, if you like those premier qualifying points and miles and things like that. With a bulk ticket, you're not always going to get all the qualifying points and all the miles as if you had just booked and paid directly with the airline. But the money savings might outweigh that, so it's really up to you. So make sure that you're going on there and checking the prices because you can find extremely low prices and sometimes much lower than what the airline is actually offering when you book through the cruise line. Now, in addition to the low prices, you're also going to have price protection. Now, you have to be very careful about how you book. I know for some lines, and I'm speaking now specifically to Carnival Cruise Line and Princess because they use the same system, They might offer a restricted rate and a flexible rate. So you have to know which rate you're booking. You know, with the restricted rate, of course, you might be paying less initially, but you're not going to have price protection. However, if you book a flexible rate, not only does that mean you're going to be able to cancel that airfare any time before final payment date, but you're also going to be able to call up the cruise line and say, hey, I was looking on your website and I noticed that the price of the airfare that I booked is now lower than what I originally booked it for, and they are going to give you that new price. And I have done this many times. A great example of this was last year. I sailed on Celebrity Beyond. I flew from the US over to Rome to catch the ship. The airfare went down quite a bit from the time I booked it to just before final payment date. I called up Celebrity Cruises. They were happy to rebook that for me and gave me the new price. Now, do keep in mind that the price drops do have to be before final payment date. Now, once you have reached final payment date and you've paid everything off, your cruise and the airfare, there's no more rebooking, there's no more price drops or anything like that. But all the way up to final payment date, you can basically book your airfare and have it on hold. I like to do that a lot of times. If I find a good rate on airfare with the cruise line, I'll go ahead and book it. And then I'll continue to monitor that price with the airline. Maybe it'll drop and I just want to book it directly with the airline. I can call up the cruise line then and cancel. And that airfare will be dropped off of my cruise reservation. So anytime before final payment date, usually, depending on, again, the rate that you've booked with the cruise line, you're going to be able to call up and drop the airfare from your reservation. So keep that in mind. Maybe you've already booked airfare and you didn't know that. Anytime before final payment date, in most cases, unless you booked a restricted rate or something like that, you're going to be able to drop that airfare from your reservation and you can book it wherever else you like, or you can get that price protection if the price is lower. Now, the third reason that I highly recommend that you book your airfare with the cruise line is for the assurance. That assurance being that you are going to make your cruise. And you know, anything can happen when you're talking about the airlines. There can be weather, there can be mechanical issues, anything like that can delay your flight from taking off and reaching your ship on time. And I'm someone who likes to fly the same day of the cruise. So you'll often see me flying very early on the morning of my cruise embarkation to get to port on time and on the ship. But something was wrong with the plane and it couldn't take off. I'm going to miss my flight. My flight's not going to take off on time. I might actually miss my cruise. And if I miss my cruise and I didn't book my airfare through the cruise line, I have no protection there. So it's going to be up to me to find my way either to the next port of call or to just have to cancel the cruise and eat that cost. However, you have assurance when you book your airfare through the cruise line because there is some level of protection and you have to read the fine print, but typically they are going to guarantee if you book your airfare along with your cruise, with the cruise line, they are going to protect you in the event of flight delays or cancellation, anything disrupting that flight schedule that then causes you to miss your cruise embarkation. So let's say the cruise ship leaves without you, you're still stuck in your home city. It's up to the cruise line now. They're going to take care of arrangements to get you to that first port of call or whatever might need to happen. Also, maybe you're flying into your cruise maybe a day or two early, so it's not necessarily going to be an issue of you missing your cruise, but it's going to be a headache if your flight were canceled. Well, not a headache for you because the cruise line is actually now going to handle getting you rebooked. So there's a lot of protection and assurance when you book with the cruise line. You are going to make your cruise. Maybe you did book your flight like me for the same day as your cruise and you're, sitting on pins and needles like, oh no, like there's weather out there. Are we going to be able to take off today or what? The cruise line is going to take care of you. They're going to help you get to that next port of call. They're going to help you meet the ship should you miss it because of an airline delay or cancellation. And my fourth reason is for flexibility. And I already talked about this a few minutes ago and being able to make flight changes or cancel. You do have up to final payment date to make changes. So if you do maybe want to completely cancel your flight, you can do that. Or maybe you've booked, I'm going to fly to Miami 3 days prior to my cruise. Maybe you did that thinking, you're going to spend some time in Miami and now plans have changed and you need to go in the day before. You can do that. Most of the time, of course, that's going to incur some sort of fee or charge when you do that with the airline. Not so with the cruise line. They are going to allow you to make changes to your flight, usually up until final payment date. Now, I'm not so sure. I think the rules get a little bit different when it's after final payment date. So if you're trying to do anything like that, you do want to check directly with the cruise line to see what the rules are. Read the fine print of your reservation and your booking. But typically, there is a great measure of flexibility when you book your airfare with the cruise line that you're not going to get if you book your airfare directly with the airline. So there are a lot of pros to booking your airfare directly with the cruise line. I did try to think of some cons, some reasons why I'd be like, well, probably wouldn't recommend it for X, Y, and Z. I really couldn't come up with many other than not getting those premier qualifying points or getting as many miles because, again, you are booking a bulk ticket and airlines do not award as many miles or as many qualifying points. when you book a bulk ticket as they do if you booked it just direct through the airline. So that's the only con I can think of. Let me know down in the comments below though, what's your experience been with booking airfare directly through the cruise line? Have you been able to save money? Maybe I'm forgetting some of the cons. Please share it with the group down in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have found it informative. If you did, please make sure you go down below, give me a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to the channel because we have some very exciting adventures to come to the channel very soon. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure.